So today we will continue our earlier chapter, that is acceptance sampling, but we will highlight today a new topic which is called producer's risk and consumer's risk. So this, the theoretical part, you should have little bit idea about the theoretical part. Uh, Basically, when you will work in industry, actually you don't need to calculate all these things, the producer's risk or the consumer's risk, or these things you don't need to actually, uh, you may not deal with, but if you work as a quality expert, then you will have to deal with these things. But usually all these things are predetermined, but and uh, based on the predetermination, the acceptance sampling plan will be also there, and you will be performing your quality related activities accordingly. But at least you need to have those concepts, otherwise you won't be able to uh, have a clear cut idea about acceptance sampling. So let's start. Due to sampling variations, it is always possible that a bad lot be accepted and a good lot be rejected. Okay. So what it is saying, you have no idea about the population. The samples that you are collecting from your lot, that is actually known as the sampling. And if you randomly, if you suppose you, out of 100 items, you are picking up any 5 items for inspection, there will be variation. Each time you pick up randomly any 5 items, those items will not be the same, similar amount of defects or defectives you will not get if you randomly do the sampling again and again from the lot of those 100 items. Okay. So there is a sampling, so there will be sampling variation. So because of the sampling variation, it is always possible that a bad lot will be accepted and a good lot will be rejected. It is possible. So it is a producer's risk that a good lot be rejected by the consumer. Suppose you are a producer, you have produced a good lot. There are very few defectives in your lot, but still it has been rejected by the consumer. So it is always producer's risk. For example, say by chance in a sample of size 100 units, 7 units were defective. Though in the whole of the lot, 10,000 units, only 10 units were defective. So you can understand that in a lot out of 10,000 units, if there are only 10 units are defective, then it can be treated as a good lot. But by chance, the 100 units that you have collected for sampling, among them you have found that 7 units uh, were defective. Okay. So what will happen? So it will be uh, rejected. Okay, but actually the lot is good. Okay, but because of the sampling variation, it has happened. Out of these 10 defective items, by chance 7 appeared in the sample drawn at random, and at the acceptance number A set at 5, the lot is rejected. Thus, the producer faces this risk of rejection of a good lot by the consumer. Okay. Similarly, due to sampling variation, the consumer faces the risk of accepting a bad lot. It means containing a large number of defects. In our example, suppose in reality, there are 700 defective items in a lot of 10,000 units. When a sample of size 100 units drawn at random and inspected, by chance only 2 units are defective and the lot is accepted as the acceptance number A or the cutoff is 5. Thus the consumer accepts a bad lot which contained a large number of defectives. So this is also possible. You can understand that out of 10,000 units, if there are 700 defective items, then you can easily understand that lot is not good, that is a bad lot. But by chance the sample you have taken out there, out of 100 items, you have found that only 2 defective items are there, which is less than your cutoff number or acceptance number 5. That's why the consumer has accepted the lot, accepted a bad lot. Okay. So this is actually consumer's risk. So what happens? The consumer and the producer negotiate with each other and arrive at 2 limiting values of proportion defective in a lot. One value is called the acceptable quality limit, or AQL. Let us assume in our example that the AQL is agreed upon by both the consumer and the producer at P is equal to 0.03. If the proportion of defectives in a lot is equal to or less than the AQL, the consumer will have to definitely accept the lot. Otherwise, the consumer may accept or reject the lot, will be indifferent about accepting or rejecting the lot. The other limiting value is called the lot tolerance percent defective, or LTPD, or the limiting quality level, or LQL. Usually LTPD is used. Let us assume in our example that the LTPD is agreed upon by both the consumer and the producer at P is equal to 0.08. Okay. If the proportion of defectives in a lot is equal to or more than the LTPD, the consumer will definitely reject the lot. Otherwise, the consumer may accept or reject the lot, will be indifferent about accepting or rejecting the lot. The region between P is equal to 0 and P is equal to 0.03, the equivalent in our example is called the acceptable quality region. The region above P is equal to 0.08, the LTPD in our example, is called the unacceptable quality region. The region between AQL and LTPD is called the region of indifference, as in this range of proportion defectives. There is no clear-cut criteria of acceptance or rejection of a lot. So what I have just read it out. I have just read it out, but so that at least you are familiar with these terms, AQL, LTPD, or LQL, acceptable quality region, region of indifference, or unacceptable quality region, like this. So in order to understand this, let's take a look at the picture, the graph. Okay, here it is. So in this particular graph, you can see that along x-axis we are representing what I have previously told, that the proportion defectives are actually proportion of non-conformities, but you will see that most of the books, they are actually using the term proportion of defectives along x-axis, and along y-axis we are representing the probability of acceptance for a particular proportion defective. Okay. Now it has said that the consumer and the producer negotiate with each other and arrive at two limiting values of proportion defective in a lot. What are these two limiting values? One value is AQL, or acceptable quality limit, and another value is LTPD, or lot tolerance percent defective. Sometimes it is also termed as LQL, or limiting quality limit, but mostly and also in your questions of examination you will find this term LTPD rather than LQL. It means lot tolerance percent defective. So in this particular graph you can see that the producers and the customers, or the producers and the consumer, they have mutually agreed upon with these points 0.03 AQL and 0.08 LTPD. Okay, they have mutually agreed upon on these 2 points. So what these 2 points reveal? These 2 points are revealing that in the lot, okay, if in the particular the proportion defective in the lot, if it is less than 0.03, okay, if there is less than 3% proportion defectives in a lot, then the customer will definitely accept the lot. This is the meaning of AQL. And what is the meaning of LTPD, or lot tolerance percent defective? That means it indicates that if your proportion defectives in the lot is greater than 0.8%, then the customer will definitely reject the lot. Okay. And if it is in between, then the customer may accept or may reject the lot. Okay. So this is actually acceptable quality region. This is termed as acceptable quality region. This region which is beyond LTPD, that is known as unacceptable quality region, and in between this region is known as region of indifference. Okay, so this is the basic concept. Now, despite setting the values of AQL and LTPD, the whole lot is seldom inspected in normal situations. Thus, there is a risk due to sampling variations that a lot having proportion defectives less than AQL be rejected by the consumer. This is called producer's risk. And in figure, producer's risk is shown as the probability of rejection corresponding to the AQL. Okay. So what it is saying, see, I am talking about the proportion defective percentage in the lot. Okay. But the whole lot is seldom inspected. That means seldom means not very frequent. The whole lot is usually it is not inspected. So so it is not the whole, you will go for sampling. Okay. So always there will be a risk due to the sampling variation. Okay, that that a lot having proportion defectives less than AQL will be rejected by the consumer. Okay, so producer's risk is actually given by, it is determined as corresponding to the point of AQL. So this is the point of AQL. Okay. So what is the producer's risk? Producer's risk will be, this is your probability of acceptance value PA, okay, at AQL. So your producer's risk alpha will be given as 1 minus PA. Okay, that means this value. This total value is 1, probability of acceptance. Okay, when your proportion defective is 0, that means there is no defective at all. Okay, so at 0.0 at AQL, okay, so that means 0.0, when you will have 3% proportion defectives in the lot. If there is 3% proportion defectives in the lot, then you will have, this point is actually it is reflecting 0.9161. Okay, this point is represented by 0.9161. That means this distance is 0.9161. So you can say that the coordinate of the point is 0.03, 0.9161. So what will be the producer's risk? This is the probability of acceptance. Okay. So what will be the probability of rejection? That will be 1 minus 0.9161. And the probability of rejection from the perspective of a producer, that is actually the producer's risk. So alpha will be equal to 1 minus 0.9161. Okay. So this will be the value of alpha. Okay. Now, similarly, there is a risk due to, or alternatively, if you know the producer's risk alpha, you can also calculate the probability of acceptance. Okay, this is vice versa. Now, another thing, similarly, there is a risk due to sampling variations that a lot having proportion defectives more than LTPD be accepted by the consumer. This is called the consumer's risk beta. In figure, consumer's risk is shown as the probability of acceptance PA corresponding to the LTPD. Thus, the consumer and producers negotiate with each other and agree upon 4 values. And consumer's risk is determined by beta. Okay, so just similar thing, you just opposite thing. Okay, so when you are talking about the law, the consumer's risk is not about rejection. Consumer's risk is based upon the probability of accepting a bad lot. So you will be always dealing with the probability of acceptance, which is, you can see that at LTPD, the probability of acceptance is this much. Probability of acceptance, this is the value of PA. Okay, so here the probability of acceptance will be equal to the consumer's risk beta. Okay, so beta will be equal to the probability of acceptance. Okay, here in this case. So basically you will when the consumers and LTPD here, AQL, they have given it the name of AQL, the coordinate of AQL, they have given it P dash, and they have given the coordinate of LTPD as P double dash. Okay, and this probability of acceptance is, if this is alpha producer's risk, then this probability of acceptance is 1 minus alpha, and here in this case, this will be, the probability of acceptance will be beta. So the coordinate for this point will be P dash comma 1 minus alpha. This is alpha, so this will be 1 minus alpha, this is the probability of acceptance, and the coordinate of this point will be p double dash comma beta, because this is representing the probability of acceptance is equal to beta. So these are the coordinates of the points B and E. Okay. So when the consumer and producer negotiate with each other, they agreed upon the four values: AQL, LTPD, producer's risk, consumer's risk. AQL means P dash, LTPD means P double dash, producer's risk means alpha, consumer's risk means beta. Thus, 2 points are agreed upon by the consumer and the producers. These points are P dash comma 1 minus alpha and P double dash comma beta. That means these 2 points B and E, these values are actually agreed upon by the producers and consumers. One more point called the point of indifference or split risk, which corresponds to value of PA is equal to 0.5, is also agreed upon. Okay, this point of indifference or split, which is, it is termed as point of indifference or split. And an OC curve is then found by the trial and error method by varying the values of sample size small n and acceptance number A, okay, which fits all these 3 points. Once such an OC curve is found, it is used for acceptance sampling. Okay. So after determining all these values, you need to draw some curves, you need to find some curves which will pass through all these points, and based on that you will be choosing your sampling plan. Suppose, for example, if you can see that if initially I determine these points, and if I find from Excel, using Excel, that this particular curve passes through these points, then I will note that for which particular N and A, these I am getting this curve, and I can see that for N is equal to 100 and A is equal to 5, I am getting this curve. That means my sample size should be 100 and my A will be 5. That means my and capital is N is here 10,000, small n is equal to 100 and A is equal to 5. So my cutoff value will be 5, small n will be 100 and capital N will be 10,000. That means the lot size will be 10,000. Okay. So this is the thing that we can use, okay, for to determine our acceptance, determine our sampling plan. Alternatively, you can also do one thing. See, whenever you are basically doing, you are calculating all these values, all these 2 points, okay, and you are basically getting all these things for finding out the acceptance sampling plan. That's it. So if I say that I am trying to find out the values of AQL, LTPD, producer's risk, consumer's risk, all these things, what it means, and if you say that my capital N value, small n value, and A is equal to this thing, the acceptance number is this thing, both actually representing or indicating the same thing, not different. Okay. So alternatively, you can also do one thing. You can draw different, based on the type of the problem, based on the nature of the problem, you can draw different types of curves you can draw. Okay, and after drawing different types of curves, you can also mutually, the producers and consumers, they can mutually agree upon these particular points, which points they will take. They can first draw different types of mm, curves, okay, and then they will mutually agree upon. So that can also happen, and I personally feel that procedure is easier. Okay. Uh, so how you will do these things? I have previously told you that there are basically three different types of operating characteristics curves. One is based on hypergeometric distribution. Another is based on mm, the binomial distribution, and also there is based on the Poisson distribution. Okay, I have previously told you. So here, you just have a look at this one. Okay, so suppose you are considering the defects, okay, and based on the nature of the problem, you can understand that since I am dealing with uh, defects, okay, and I'm converting that into the defectives, okay, here this is 2.1 defects per unit, I previously told, which is actually the proportion of defectives in the lot. So suppose you have thought that I need to use Poisson distribution, okay, uh, for my operating characteristics curve. Then the question is how you can get the correct curve, or how you can determine your acceptance sampling plan. So let's take a look at an example. This is the Excel sheet. Suppose the proportion defectives, there can be different types of proportion defectives: 0, 0 0.01, 0 0.02, 0 0.03. So in this way, you can write in a particular column a lot of proportion defectives you can write. Okay. Now you will be calculating the mean values, n into p, which is the formula for Poisson distribution, n into p. So your n is equal to, suppose you have assumed your n, or the sample size, small n or sample size, is 100. So the mean will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Okay. So what will be your probability of acceptance? You know the formula for the Poisson distribution. It is given by e to the power minus mu into mu to the power d divided by d dash. Okay, so you know the mean value is given by mu is equal to n into p, where proportion defectives in p means proportion defective in the lot. Okay, so the value of E is known, the value of mu, or in some cases you will find lambda, that is also known. Okay, mean value, this is also known, the mean value or mu value, this is also known. Okay, then you put the value of mu and the value of B. Okay, B means here actually defectives, okay, which is will be equal to your the cutoff value, okay, or A or the cutoff value. So suppose in this case A is equal to 5. Okay, so here you will also put D is equal to 5. Okay, the cutoff value D is equal to 5, that you will be putting. Okay, and using D dash means for D is equal to 0, D is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the values you need to first find, and you need to add all those things. Okay, so you will be you can easily calculate the probability of acceptance, okay, for a particular proportion defective, for a particular small n value, and for a particular acceptance number. So using the Poisson function, these function arguments, you just you put first, you calculate the value for 1, then you just drag your cursor downwards, and automatically all the values you will be getting, the proportion, the probability of acceptance for a particular proportion defective. Now if you change your acceptance number a is equal to, from a is equal to 5 to a is equal to 7, then you will be having different PA values or probability of acceptance values. So you will be getting other different values for different proportion defectives. Now if you again change it to a is equal to 3, then you will be having some other different values. So based on all these different values, you can get, suppose, 3 different OC curves you can see, you can get. Okay. And here in these 3 curves, you are, the n small n or the sample size is constant, and you are varying your acceptance number. You can alternatively, and you can also do that, you fix your acceptance number and you vary your n, that means your sample size. Okay, so you can see that first, if you n is equal to 200, a is equal to 5 fixed, and you are varying your sample size. First it was n is equal to 200, then it was n is equal to 50. Okay, so for 200, for 100, and for 50, you are getting different OC curves you can see. When the constant is acceptance number and you are changing your n or sample size, then you will be getting different types of OC curves. Okay, so now you can also, instead of 3 curves, you can create different curves, like 30 curves you can also generate. Okay, instead of 3, you can also have 30 different types of combinations you can have, and you can test different points. You can check different points of those curves where you want to, where the mutually the producers and the consumer will take the risk associated with it. Obviously, producer is always willing to take less risk, and consumer will always consumer will also want to minimize it risk. Okay, so you can understand that consumer will actually, if you look at this particular curve, consumer will always want that this curve will, instead of the point E, it will actually try to take a point which is more downwards. Okay, because in that case consumers risk will be at a minimum level, but whereas the producers will find one, but will be willing to take one, the point which goes up. Okay, because in that case producers risk will be minimum level. Okay, so now you can take a look at, so in this way these curves can be drawn. Okay, so using the same pattern, using the same thing, you can also do for other curves, for the binomial distribution or for the hypergeometric distribution. you can also do the same thing. This procedure is known as trial and error method. Okay. So because you are trying and you are checking whether it is acceptable by both consumer party and the producer party. So if your requirement or if your problem is not based upon the Poisson distribution, if it is suitable for the binomial distribution or for the what you say, the hypergeometric distribution, then you will in the same way you will be drawing different curves in Excel, okay, depending upon these things. And this example that I have given, this is for one stage sampling. But in case of two-stage sampling or in case of multiple stage sampling, the process is actually very, very complex. Okay, it is the basic idea by means of which you can do that, and most of the cases this particular thing is done. But the other things are also available. You will see that in book you will be getting that how two-stage sampling is carried out, but I am not going into that details. If you are interested, you can go through it. Okay. Now these things are to be noticed. Okay. First, you need to understand the differences between these two sentences which I have given, which that here. Okay. Suppose if you are asked, what is the probability that the sample will consist 5 defectives? And if you are asked, what is the probability that the sample at most will consist 5 defectives? That acceptance number 5 means at most the sample will consist 5 acceptable defectives. These two questions are not same. Okay, why? Because whenever you are saying what is the probability that the sample will consist 5 defectives, then in this formula you simply put here 5, okay, and the probability of acceptance value you will be getting. But when you will be asked, it is less than 1 minute now, so we can rejoin. It is less than 1 minute now, so we can rejoin. Okay. But whenever you will be asked that at most it will consist 5 defectives, that means it might have also 4 defectives, 3 defectives, 2 defectives, 1 defectives, and no defective at all. So in that case also, in that case you need to do this thing. First you put 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then obviously you need to sum it up. So this thing you need to take care of. Now the question is, what do you mean by alpha is equal to producer's risk is equal